Alright, so if you guys thought Diggersby was kicking your butt in Open Great League, if it was, guess what? It is also eligible to be used for the Holiday Cup. I think it's literally the only level 50 mon that you can use that's actually viable. But just at the same time, if you face Diggersby in Go Battle League, in just Open, it's very, very powerful. And for the Holiday Cup, it's actually really strong. Now, what makes Diggersby so powerful is it has a very good stat spread. As you see here, its stats are very comparable to Azu. High attack, not high attack. Okay, like it has decent attack, defense, and stamina are very high. So it's very bulky and it maxes out near 1706. So it can go into level 50, which is what we're analyzing today. Level 50 Diggersby, extremely powerful in the Holiday Cup. Now, what makes it so powerful isn't just its like stats, it's also its moveset. Because it sports one of the fastest charging fast moves in the game in Mudshot and great coverage moves, it's very strong for this cup. As you see with Mudshot, it has Earthquake and Fire Punch. Fire Punch baits shields and Earthquake does heavy damage. The thing about Fire Punch though is Fire Punch can actually, you could straight Fire Punch some Pokemon down even though Diggersby doesn't get stabbed and it's not a fire type, just because it charges so fast. So it takes 5 Mudshots to fire down a Fire Punch. And for Earthquake, it doesn't take too much to get to an Earthquake either. It only takes, I believe, like 3 more Mudshots. So you're going to put heavy pressure on your opponent because if they're weak to your Earthquake, you're going to make them sweat a lot with Diggersby. Now, the thing about Diggersby, it has a very interesting typing. As you see here, you're weak to Fighting, Grass, Ice, and Water. The unfortunate thing is those are plentiful in this cup. So you have a lot of weaknesses. However, that's not to go say you don't have any resistance. You don't have a lot of resistances. So, well, you don't have a lot. It's kind of like 50-50. However, you double resist electric. You also double resist ghost. You also resist poison and rock. Now, here's the unfortunate thing. You're not going to see a lot of your resistances in the Holiday Cup. That's what makes Diggersby really interesting. It rates very high overall. However, you'll see a lot of your weaknesses, but you won't see a lot of your resistances. For example, you won't see a lot of Magnezones. You'll probably, like, Magnezone, Ghost types, Drifblim, which are still very viable in this cup. There's not a lot of, like, I don't really recall anything in the Holiday Cup meta that's probably going to hit you with a poison type attack, or even bait it with it. And with a rock, you pretty much have things like, the only rock I can really think of is Alolan Graveler. So it's going to be really interesting when we dive into the Matrix, because like I said, you see a lot of these, but you don't see a lot of these. Alright, as you see here for the Holiday Cup, you have Diggersby XL at number 4 in the PPoke.com rankings. In fact, I believe it's like the only XL Pokemon on here. I don't believe there's any other Pokemon that really rank at XL, or you do see them. As you see, you could see Sableye XLs on here, but they're really low at the bottom. As you see in the top, guess what's here? Diggersby Extra Large. XL Candy Diggersby is very powerful. Taking on Alolan Marowak, you even beat Skarmory. Even though Skarmory resists your Mudshot, you can beat Skarmory. You also take out Alolan Graveler, Stunfisk, and Wigglytuff. It's basically the ground type that beats other ground types. And also, because it's so bulky, you're able to take on a lot of really interesting picks. Now, here's the big issue with Diggersby. As you see, it's very powerful as a lead. Okay, it's good as a closer as well as a switch. So it does good in a closer switch, but it's best used as a lead. However, it's also the number 1 attacker overall in this cup because of the amount of damage it can put and the pressure. So the issue with this is that Diggersby has a lot to watch out for. Vigoroth, Obstagoon, Altaria, Abomasnow, and Lapras are all very powerful picks, and because of ground typing, it's going to hurt a lot if you get hit by them, even though Diggersby does have a decent amount of bulk. However, number 4 overall isn't something to scoff at. As you see here, number 4 overall means that Diggersby is actually in the top 10 as far as leads go. In fact, it beats a lot of the leads above. You beat Alolan Marowak, Skarmory, Graveler, Stunfisk, Wigglytuff. You also beat AWAC. As you see, AWAC and a lot of other top picks do fall to Diggersby XL. So that's what makes it really interesting. like, it beats you beat a lot of the top leads with Diggersby. So because of that, Diggersby is very interesting. And it's also very expensive. But you know, if you can afford that expensiveness, Diggersby can serve you well. As you see, Diggersby serves as the number 20. It's actually better in the closer, barely in the closer, just because XL doesn't have, like, the attack matters. But as you see, you still beat a lot of really meta picks. And you kind of lose to the same things. You'll lose the closer to Skarmory just because you don't have shields and you can get yeeted by those sky attacks. As a switch, Diggersby's very powerful still. As you see, it's the number 11 safe switch in the lead. As you see, you beat, it's very powerful because you do beat a lot of, like, really, you beat the pretty much what beats, you beat a lot of the meta that beats the meta. So you beat the anti-meta, you beat a lot of the meta and some of the anti-meta, and then some of the, like, it's very confusing. We'll make it everything a lot clearer in the Matrix. Diggersby is very powerful. Very, very powerful. However, in the Matrix, like I mentioned in Go Hub, you see a lot of your weaknesses. So the big question here is, because Diggersby is so powerful, how does it fare on the Matrix? And we'll figure that out soon. However, it is the number 1 attacker. It does outpace a lot of the other Mons just because of Mudshot's just godforsakenly superpowered ability to actually take on the meta. In fact, it even beats out AWAC and Altaria. And the Charmers. And the counter users. So it's just that powerful. It's very strong. It's very strong. Alright, here we go. Here's the peepquote.com rankings, and as you see here, if you would like to donate, please do so. As I always say, I'm only going to analyze the Fire Punch Earthquake moveset because that's what makes Diggersby really good. Fire Punch does give you coverage against Steels and Obama Snow, and Earthquake does heavy damage against practically almost everything that doesn't resist it. So what we're going to do here is I put Diggersby XL. I put the level 51, so this is a level 50. Here's the level 51 Diggersby, just for more science. There's level 51. Or, yeah, level 50.5 or level 51, whichever one you want to max out at. As you see here, maximize that. And then we have Diggersby at level 40. So we're going to compare level 40, because the level 40 is a perfect one, as you see here. Perfect. Wait, can you max it at level 41? 41? Okay, so you know we're just going to do level 40, just to make it less complicated. There's a 14, 15, 15. That's the best one. So near perfect Diggersby, and then you have 51 and 50. And we're going to run the simulator. Here's the 2 shield. As you see here, the funny thing is, in the mirror, you actually it's really weird, okay? So the reason why you lose against all 5 of these is because they're either ice types or just because Diggersby is... Whoever wins CMP, or if you get the mirror, it's going to be very weird. It's a very, like, baity and dangerous matchup. So, that's so chaotic that I'm not going to go over that match. Yeah, I'm not going to go over it. It's just so chaotic. Because with Diggersby, if you get the mirror, basically who baits who, or who hits the Earthquake, that's basically what it is. There's so many factors, such as CMP, and just play better. Just play better. That's all I gotta say. Just do it. You get the mirror, and you recognize that's a level 40 versus level 50, you already know you're going to lose CMP because it has higher attack than you. So what you do, you outplay your opponent. Use your skills, and make sure you outplay your opponent, which is easier said than done because it's a Go Battle League, and it's blind. However, there's a lot of things you do beat. As you see here, even though you get Ice to the next Ice Age, and Diggersby is a painful matchup, the reason why you lose against Driplim as well is because it's pretty much a hard wall. Yes, your fire punches are like resisted, however, Driplim does debuff you, and Icy Wind is super effective, so it just sucks. Okay? Now, you do beat Galvantula, you also beat Graveler because their fire punches hurt. You also resist those Volt Switches. And you beat Alolan Graveler because it's double weak to your Mudshot, so it's going to suck a lot. You also beat Lantern because you resist it. You even beat the Water Gun variation as well. Now, I don't know, you have to block the Hydro Pump, but, well, yeah, you have to block the Hydro Pump, but you do have a very strong match against Lantern. So I'm not going to go over that one, since you have a really strong one. You beat Magnezone, of course, because Steel and Electric is weak to ground types. You also can Fire Punch it to death. You can you can also Fire Punch it to death. So just keep that in mind. Fire Punch do work. You lose against Mandibuzz just because it's tanky. Basically, Flyers, you're going to lose to all, like, I believe all Flyers except for, I think, Skarmory, just because you are able to Fire Punch it to death. But the reason being is because Fire Punch doesn't do enough damage overall. That's why Mandibuzz kills you. You lose against Obstagoon. You also lose against Vigoroth. So the thing is, the pseudo counter users are very powerful against you, especially since you don't resist Body Slam. So just be mindful of that. Also, you do beat Alolan Marowak. You beat Alolan Sandslash. Skarmory is what I meant. Remember what I mentioned, that Skarmory you can beat just fire punching it to death? That's basically what happens. You beat Snorlax. You also beat Whimsicott. Ironically, just because, like I said, you fire punch it. You literally fire punch this Afro Goats Cotton Ball. I have no idea what to name it, okay? Just fire punch it to death. Just punch it. Just punch it. Punch it. You do lose against Wigglytuff, ironically, as long as you have 2 shield, just because it wiggles you down. The 2 shield Wiggly strat is very powerful. And as you see here, even if you do bait it and then Earthquake it, it still lives, which is pretty nuts. And it also has Ice Beam too, so if it does hit you with Ice Beam, it's going to suck a lot. So you beat one Charmer, you lose against the other, so just be mindful of that. Alright, so we did the 2 shield, here's the 1 shield. In the 1 shield, you hit battle, and then you get this. So, in the 1 shield, you're able to beat... So, here, again, the Diggersby matchup is weird. This is a perfect Diggersby versus the others. So, you kind of have to be careful. Well, the reason why is because if you see the IVs, this isn't... Versus the perfect one, the reason why this is so lined up is because that's assuming maximum IVs. So, this isn't the best Diggersby ever. That's why you beat... It says you beat it. In reality, it just depends. This is an IV-dependent matchup with Diggersby. If you get the level 50 versus the 40, again, it's very baity. Whoever baits who basically wins, and whoever wins CMP also can win. So it's a very sweaty matchup. As you see, the Earthquakes are strong with both sides. So just be very aware of Diggersby in the mirror. It's going to be really sweaty, and there's a lot of other factors. You're still going to lose against Altaria, Abomasnow, Dugong, Driplet, and Frostless because Ice hurts and Altaria walls you. You do beat Galvantula, Agrav, Lantern. It's because you're very strong against them. Ground does a lot of heavy damage. That you punch them to death. Lapras also beats you because of those Ice Shards. As you see, you beat Magnezone. Gonna lose against the Flyers. You also still lose against the Pseudo Fighter users. That's what kind of sucks. You still lose against Vigoroth and Obstagoon. So just keep that in mind. Those two are very powerful. You will lose in the 2s and the 1s. You pretty much beat everything in the 2 shield. I mean, you pretty much beat everything in the 1s that you would beat in the 2 shield, and vice versa. The only difference is, in the 1 shield, you beat Wigglytuff. So you can beat Wiggles in the 2 shield, in the 1 shield. You lose in the 2s, but you win in the 1s, which is always a good thing. As you see here, you hit the Fire Punch, or you bait the Fire Punch. I don't think you can go straight Fire Punch, though. Hold on, let's take a look. For science, I think you have to land an Earthquake. Yes, you have to land an Earthquake. That sucks. So this is a bait-dependent matchup. So even though you beat Mr. Wiggles, even though you technically can beat Mr. Wiggles, it's still a bait-dependent matchup, because if they call the Earthquake, it sucks. You have to bait the shield. If you bait the shield, Earthquake them to death, and then Fire Punch, and then you win. That's the 1 shield. But yes, the 2 and the 1s are very similar. It's just you flip the Wigglytuff matchup. Again, 2 and the 1s are very similar, except you flip Wigglytuff. Now, let's go to the 0s. So the 0s, hit the simulator, as you see here. So it looks like level 50 and level 40 don't, really, there's not too much of a difference. So if you like your level 40s, Diggersby, you can use that one too. Again, you're still going to lose against everything. So in the closer, you beat Frostless in the closer because I believe you punch it to death. You punch this poor Ice Queen gets Fire Punched to death. You can actually live a Blizzard, which is nuts. So you live the Blizzard, you Fire Punch it down, and then you win. So just be careful, because if Frostless has Energy Lead, it can beat you. As you see here, it's a really close matchup. So be very mindful. You either need chip damage on Frostless, or if it has energy, you lose. So if it has even 1 Ice Shard of energy, alright, that's wrong. If it has 1, well, Powder Snow generates 8 energy a shot. If it even has 1, you lose directly. So be very careful with the Frostless matchup in the closer. Yes, you do flip it, but it's still really close. You still lose against Abomasnow, Altaria, Dugong, and Drifloon just because of the ice weakness that Diggersby presents. Again, the mirror is very sweaty. It's very heavily dependent on IV / whoever has energy, etc. And you beat pretty much the same thing. So you beat Graveler, you beat Galvantula, you beat Lantern. You actually lose against the Water Gun variant though in the closer, because it does heavy damage, and in the end it will kill you. So just be very careful. It's close. I think you can flip this with Energy Lead, because 1 Earthquake doesn't, as you see here, 1 Earthquake doesn't beat you. So actually this one's very close. So if you have enough energy, it has to land in Earthquake. So it has to land in a Hydro Pump. So if you're ahead, say like 3 mud shots, I think you can flip this. So if you have energy lead, you can flip the water gun matchup. But generally, you have to land 2 Earthquakes unless the poor Dolphin's already dead or close to dying. Yeah, unless Dolphin is almost dead, then yeah, just kill Free Willy, okay? Just kill it. Anyways, so, well, no, that's a whale, not, okay, you know what? This is an Animal Planet. This is the analysis for PvP Poke. So, anyways, we are going back, and you still lose against Flyers, you still lose against Lapras because of the ice. You still lose against the fighters, unfortunately. I think the only scenario you beat Obstagoon and Vigoroth in is if you are able to land an Earthquake, or if you have energy lead, or if you have shields, because of just how powerful it is. Yes, it is. So, unless you have shield, if you have shield advantage, you can flip it. If you don't have shield advantage, it's gonna suck. You can beat you beat Talonflame? What? Nani? Okay, so you beat Snorlax Stunfisk. You can also flip the Talonflame matchup. Is this because you Earthquake it to death or what? Oh, you can Earthquake a Talonflame to death? Even though you were what? That's really... What if it doesn't burb you? What if it, like, flame charges you to death? Yeah, what if it doesn't burb you? What if it flame charges you to death? Yeah, that's really weird. Like, why would... Yeah, so the keyword is you can beat it if it doesn't... Yeah, that's weird. Okay, so... That's a weird matchup. Talonflame technically beats you. Just because if they go... The normal opponent will go straight Flame Charge. If they go Brave Bird, they lose. So if they burb, they misplay. So they have to, you technically will lose Talonflame. Just if they go straight, if they go Brave Bird. So don't bank on winning the Talonflame matchup. Other than that, if you look over here, it looks like in the closer, the level 51 actually loses because level 40's attack is enough to actually kill Wigglytuff. Level 50, because you don't have enough attack, as you see here, your Earthquake and Fire Punch will do enough damage. Fortunately, level 50 does not, so that's kind of ironic. So, in the hindsight sense, the level 40 is actually better than the 50 in the closer. Well, barely better. The level 50 gives you a lot more play because of bulk. The level 41, it's just, I'd say that Wigglytuff matchup. So here's shield advantage. If you have shield advantage, you actually are able to take out Abomasnow because you can shield that Weather Ball. You can also flip the Diggersby matchup, and you have very strong against it because you can double Earthquake to take out the Diggersby. You're still going to lose to Altaria, Dugong, and Drifblim. You beat Frostless because you're able to shield the Avalanche and straight Fire Punch. You beat both versions of Lantern. You have very strong matchups if you are up a shield. You can also flip the Lapras matchup as long as you are in the 1-0. As you see in the 1-0s, you Earthquake this poor thing to death. I believe it's Earthquake Fire Punch. Okay, it's just double Earthquake. You will live with Surf just because it's that bulky. And then you still lose against Mandibuzz. Now, here's the thing. In the 1-0s, you will beat Vigoroth and Obstagoon. So, as you see, in the 1-0s, you are incredibly powerful. This thing is really strong in the 1-0s. In the 2-0s, I can imagine you probably beat everything but what walls you, like Altaria, etc. Yes. So, in the 2-0s, what? In the 2-0s, you actually lose. So, you beat Dugong in the 2-0s with a level 41, but you lose with a level 50. You'll still lose against Altaria and Drifblim just because of the Icy Winds, and because, like I mentioned, it does resist Earthquake and your Mud Shot. Fire Punch doesn't do enough damage. It looks like you still lose against Mandibuzz, unfortunately, but you beat the majority of the meta. So basically, Mandibuzz, Altaria, Drifblim, and Dugong. So 4 matchups. Now, the really interesting part is shield advantage. What happens if you get shield advantage? If you get shield advantage with Diggersby, here's what happens. You lose against Altaria, Dugong, and Drifblim effectively. However, you and Mandibuzz. But, okay, so here's where level 50 and 40 matter. If you don't have a level 51, you lose against Obstagoon, and you lose against Vigoroth. So the level 50 with shield advantage flips the Pseudo Fighter matchup, which is really important. So this is where level 50 is really good. In the 2-1s, as you see here, in the 2-1, so basically I have shield advantage, you are able to flip the Vigoroth and the Obstagoon matchup. That's pretty huge. So just be mindful of that. Also, yeah. The bad thing is Dugong, Altaria, and Drifblim still wall you. So it's still really good. The good thing about it is you have really strong matchups against what you beat. Except for Lapras, just because of Ice. But, like, you're still able to beat it, which is good. And that's the 2-1s. So, as you see, Diggersby is very powerful with shield advantage. And it's it can flip negative matchups depending on energy and shield. However, there are things that wall it. Alright, so if I had to give Diggersby a rating, I'd give it an 8 out of 10. The problem with Diggersby is, yes, it is the most powerful attacker, but there's too many things that, like, wall you. For example, and there, like I mentioned, a lot of your weaknesses are there. Now, the thing about Diggersby is if you give it shield advantage, it flips negative matchups, which is good. However, if you see Altaria and your Talia, if your Altaria is locked into a Diggersby, let's just do this. So if your Altaria is locked into a Diggersby, you basically win. Something that gets hardwalled unless you have answers to it outside of being in shield advantage, like, okay, so if we do a single battle. If we do a single battle for Great League, and we do Diggersby XL, and you do it against, and you pit it against Altaria, you do get walled. The wall factor is what really woos me, and Altaria is very accessible, and I can see it being used a lot. For that reason, as you see here, Altaria absolutely dominates, and it still has over half of its HP. You get walled. Same thing with Mandibuzz. You get walled by Mandibuzz. Mandibuzz does wall you. Mandibuzz will wall you as well, and Dugong can as well too, even when the 2 shield. So basically, you get out-thicked by a lot of mons. Dugong as well, there's Dugong. And that's what makes it really scary to run, especially with the meta where you have pseudo, even against pseudo fighters, even if you do beat them, like, you can flip the matchup. The thing about it is that they still have very strong, it's still very powerful. As you see, you only beat Vigoroth if you have shield advantage, and you only beat Obstagoon if you have shield advantage, which is a lot to ask for. So there's a lot of things that really beat the unholy hell out of Bunny. So if you hate this thing, guess what? It looks great on paper, but not that great. You can beat Obstagoon in the zeros, but it's a very close matchup. So that's the biggest issue, I would say, is just the wall potential in this meta is too much for me to give it a 9. It's very powerful, and it gives you a lot of chances, especially, like I said, if you give it shield advantage, this thing's very strong. However, as you see here, you get walled against 4 matchups. One matchup, which I can see you get walled against 3 matchups. Every other matchup is very powerful against you, so Charmers, pseudo fighter users are very powerful against you. As you see, Wigglytuff yeets you unless it's the 1 shield or if you're in the 1 to 0. So as you see here, Charmers still do some work. Actually, that's one of the good things. You have a lot, like, Diggersby has a lot of outs for example, as long as you bring it to the 1 shield, you can win. And against Whimsicott, you don't lose it. So it's good against, it can be good against Charmers. So it can take out Charmers, which is good. It's not super dominant. However, because of, like I said, it's super hard, it's difficult to play. There are better picks out there, and Diggersby's expensive. Will it give you W's if you play well? Absolutely. However, there's just a lot of things in this meta that will give you a problem, just because of the way the other meta, for example, Abomasnow, etc., Frostless, those things are very powerful. You will lose. There's a lot of water. A lot of Diggersby's weaknesses are meta. Because of that, even though it is a lead that beats other leads very convincingly, if you don't have one built or if you're not used to using it, I wouldn't use Diggersby. So that's basically it. If you are used to using Diggersby and you're very comfortable with it, I would recommend it because it's very strong. However, make sure you keep away from fighters, Charmers, not really Charmers, you can do it against Charmers, pseudo fighter users, and basically anything I mentioned that walls it. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Good luck on your Go Battle League sets, and I will see you on the next video.